Good morning. Today in practicals, we will learn how to stain a paraffin section. Staining of the section is the last step in microtechnique. Microtechnique is a procedure of preparing a tissue for microscopic examination. This is mainly done to study the histological details. The first step in microtechnique is to harvest or collect the tissue from an animal by dissecting it. After taking out the tissue, it is treated with a fixative. A fixative is a solution which will maintain the cells in a lifelike state and prevent post-mortem changes. Formalin, Zenker's fixative, Bowen's fixatives are some of the commonly used fixatives. After fixing the tissue, it is dehydrated by placing in increasing concentration of alcohol, that is from 70% to 100%. The next step is clearing. The tissue is treated with a clearing agent. Clearing agents have a refractive index similar to that of the tissue and render the tissue clear or translucent. After this, the tissue is infiltrated. An infiltrating agent penetrates the tissue, removes the clearing agent and hardens it. The tissue is then embedded in a suitable medium. The most common medium used for infiltrating and embedding is paraffin wax. The tissue is placed in a wax-filled mold and a solid block is obtained. The wax blocks are then cut into thin sections for microscopic examination. This is done using an instrument called microtome. The most commonly used microtomes are rotary microtomes. This is a wax block containing the tissue, and this is a microtome. The wax block is fixed here, there is a platform, and the handle of the microtome is rotated. As you rotate the handle, the block moves up and down. There is a knife here which cuts the block into thin sections. The sections are then taken onto a clean slide smeared with egg albumin and are fixed. In practical class, a paraffin section containing the tissue will be given. You have to stain and mount it. During staining, we remove the paraffin wax, hydrate the tissue and then allow water-soluble dyes to penetrate the section. Staining is the process of coloring the cells using particular dyes called stains. There are different types of stains like nuclear stains, cytoplasmic stains and general stains. After staining the section, it is mounted under a cover slip using a suitable mounting media like a liquid or gum with a refractive index close to the tissue. It bonds the specimen, slide and cover slip together. It seals the section from external atmosphere and protects the tissue. The section can be then observed under a microscope. The staining technique that we are using today is called double staining, where two stains, one nuclear and one cytoplasmic stain, are used. I have arranged the materials required for the staining technique: a slide with paraffin sections, chemicals, xylene, to downgrade alcohol grade starting from absolute 90%, 80%, 70%, the stain hematoxylin, distilled water to upgrade 70%, 80%, 90% alcohol, the stain eosin, 100% or absolute alcohol, xylene and DPX and cover slips to mount. A spirit lamp and matchbox to heat the slide and a compound microscope to observe the slide. Before we process the slide, we need to heat it. Gently heat the slide so as to melt the wax. You can see now the wax is melting. Once the wax is melted, immerse the slide into xylene. The slide is in xylene now. Xylene is a clearing agent. It helps to clear the wax around the tissue. We have to leave the slide in xylene for about 8 to 10 minutes. After about 10 minutes, remove the slide and immerse it in absolute alcohol. We are now downgrading the tissue. Downgrading is a process where we pass the tissue through 100%, 90%, 80% and 70% alcohol. This is to hydrate the tissue or to increase the water content of the tissue. We have to leave the slide in each grade for about 5 to 7 minutes. After processing the slide in 70% alcohol, we have to stain it. Immerse the slide in hematoxylin. Most cells are colorless and transparent, which makes it difficult to observe them under microscope. Therefore, most of the materials and histological sections are stained or colored using stains. Hematoxylin is a basic stain. It reacts with acidic components of the cells. For example, nucleic acids are acidic. Thus, hematoxylin is a nuclear stain and stains the nucleus and its components. We have to keep the slide in hematoxylin for about 5 minutes. After about 5 minutes, take out the slide. You can see the material that has stained. Dip it in distilled water. This will clean the slide. Do not pour water on the slide because the tissue can get washed in. You can leave it in water for about a minute. Remove the slide from distilled water and immerse it in 70% alcohol. We are now upgrading the tissue. This is to remove excess water from the tissue. We have to pass it through 70%, 80% and 90% alcohol, keeping in each for about 5 to 7 minutes. After upgrading the slide through 90% alcohol, take it out and immerse in eosin. Eosin is an acidic stain and reacts with basic components of the cell. Cytoplasmic proteins and other components in cytoplasm are basic in nature and hence they react with eosin. After about 5 minutes, remove the slide from eosin and dip it in 90% alcohol for about 2 minutes. This is to remove the excess stain. The process of staining a tissue with 2 different stains, that is a nuclear stain and a cytoplasmic stain, is called as double staining. 2 minutes later, take out the slide from 90% alcohol and then process it through 100% alcohol and xylene, keeping in each for about 5 minutes. After processing through xylene, we have to mount the slide in DPX. Add a drop of DPX with the help of a glass rod. Take a cover slip and slowly lower it with the help of a needle. Observe the slide under compound microscope. I have kept it at a 10x magnification. The detailed procedure for staining the tissue is given, and then you can record your observation.